Jake never imagined that throwing himself in front of a speeding car would change his life forever. One moment protecting a stranger's child from kidnappers. One promise from a grateful CEO mother. One decision that would transform a struggling single father and his son into the family they'd always dreamed of. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The screech of tires and the sound of shattering glass echoed through the quiet suburban street as Jake Martinez threw himself forward, his arms wrapping protectively around the small boy who had been walking just ahead of him. The black sedan that had been speeding toward them clipped Jake's shoulder, sending a burning pain down his arm as he rolled with the child to safety behind a parked car. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" Jake gasped, checking 7-year-old Oliver Chin for injuries. The boy was shaking but unharmed, his school backpack scattered across the sidewalk. Oliver nodded, tears streaming down his face. "My mom? They were trying to take me to hurt my mom." Jake's heart pounded as he realized what had just happened. This wasn't an accident. Someone had tried to kidnap Oliver Chin, the son of Elena Chin, CEO of Chin Technologies and one of the most powerful women in the city. Jake worked as a maintenance supervisor at Oliver's elementary school. He had been walking to his car after fixing a broken water fountain when he saw the sedan following the boy. Something in his gut told him this was wrong, very wrong. "Stay down," Jake whispered, pulling out his phone to call 911. His shoulder throbbed where the car had hit him, and he could feel blood seeping through his work shirt. Within minutes, police sirens filled the air. The attackers had fled when they realized their plan had failed, but not before Jake had gotten a good look at their license plate. "Mr. Martinez." Oliver clung to Jake as paramedics arrived on the scene. "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me." "I'm not going anywhere, buddy," Jake said, even though the paramedic was insisting he needed to go to the hospital. "Not until your mom gets here." Elena Chin arrived 15 minutes later, her face pale with terror. She had been in a board meeting when she got the call that someone had tried to kidnap her son. The sight of Oliver safe in Jake's arms made her legs nearly give out with relief. "Oliver." She ran to them, pulling her son into a fierce embrace. "Oh God, are you okay? Are you hurt?" "I'm okay, Mama. Mr. Martinez saved me. The bad men tried to take me, but Mr. Martinez pushed me out of the way." Elena looked at Jake properly for the first time, noticing the blood on his shirt and the way he was cradling his injured arm. "You're hurt." "It's nothing serious," Jake said, though the pain was getting worse. "Just glad Oliver's safe." "Ma'am, we really need to get him to the hospital," the paramedic interrupted. "That shoulder needs to be looked at." Elena's eyes filled with tears as she looked at this man who had risked his life for her son. "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to do that," Jake started to protest. "Yes, I do." Elena's voice was firm. "You saved my son's life. The least I can do is make sure you're taken care of." At the hospital, Jake learned that he had a dislocated shoulder and several deep bruises, but nothing that wouldn't heal. As he sat in the emergency room bed, his arm in a sling, he couldn't stop thinking about Oliver's terrified face. Jake knew what it was like to be a scared child. He had raised his own son, Danny, as a single father after his wife left them when Danny was just 3 years old. Danny was now 12 and staying with Jake's neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez while Jake was at the hospital. "Mr. Martinez?" Elena appeared in the doorway, Oliver beside her holding 2 cups of hot chocolate from the vending machine. "Please call me Jake." Elena smiled, though her eyes were still red from crying. "Jake, I brought Oliver to see you. He's been worried sick." Oliver ran to Jake's bedside, carefully avoiding his injured arm. "Are you going to be okay, Mr. Martinez?" "I'm going to be just fine, buddy. Takes more than a car to keep me down." Elena pulled up a chair next to the bed. "The police caught the men who tried to take Oliver. Apparently there's been a threat against my company and they thought." She trailed off, not wanting to say more in front of Oliver. "They thought hurting Oliver would hurt you," Jake finished quietly. Elena nodded. "I can never repay what you did today." "You don't need to repay anything. I just did what any decent person would do." "No," Elena said firmly. "What you did was extraordinary. You put yourself between my son and danger without hesitation. You could have been killed." Jake looked at Oliver, who was quietly sipping his hot chocolate. "I have a son too. Danny's 12. If someone was trying to hurt him, I'd want someone to step in." Elena's expression softened. "You're a single parent?" Jake nodded. "His mom left when he was little. It's just been me and Danny ever since." "I understand. Oliver's father passed away when he was 2. It's been just us for 5 years now." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both understanding the unique challenges of raising a child alone. Mr. Martinez, Oliver said suddenly. Do you want to come to dinner at our house? Mama makes really good spaghetti. Elena looked embarrassed. Oliver, Mr. Martinez probably has plans? Actually, Jake said, that sounds really nice. But I should check on my son first. Make sure he's okay. Bring him. Oliver said excitedly. I don't have many friends. Maybe he could be my friend. Elena looked at Jake hopefully. Only if you're comfortable with it. I know we're practically strangers. Jake thought about it. Danny had been having a hard time at school lately. He was shy and had trouble making friends. Maybe spending time with Oliver would be good for both boys. Okay, Jake said. But fair warning, Danny's pretty quiet. He might not say much at first. An hour later, Jake was standing outside Elena's house with Danny, both of them staring up at the impressive two-story home with its manicured lawn and expensive cars in the driveway. Dad, are you sure we belong here? Danny whispered. Jake squeezed his son's hand. Oliver's mom invited us, buddy. She seems really nice. Elena answered the door herself, having sent her housekeeper home early. She was wearing jeans and a simple sweater, her long black hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked more like a regular mom than a powerful CEO. Jake, Danny, come in. Oliver's been watching for you from the window for the past hour. Oliver came running down the stairs, nearly tripping in his excitement. Danny, want to see my room? I have a PlayStation. Danny looked at Jake uncertainly. Jake nodded encouragingly, and the boys headed upstairs together. Your home is beautiful, Jake said as Elena led him to the kitchen. Thank you. I bought it after Oliver's father died. I wanted him to have a real home, not just an apartment in the city. Elena started pulling ingredients out of the refrigerator. Can I ask you something? Sure. What made you act so quickly today? Most people would have hesitated, maybe called for help first. Jake leaned against the counter, his good arm crossing over his chest. I saw a scared kid who reminded me of my own son. I didn't think about it. I just moved. Elena stopped chopping onions and looked at him. Danny's lucky to have you as a father. I don't know about that. I work long hours, can't afford to give him the things other kids have. Sometimes I wonder if he'd be better off with his mom. Where is his mom? Jake's expression hardened slightly. Last I heard, Vegas. She sends a birthday card sometimes when she remembers. She said being a mother was too hard, that she wasn't cut out for it. Elena felt her heart break a little. I'm sorry. Don't be. Danny and I do just fine on our own. Elena resumed cooking, but she kept glancing at Jake. There was something about him that drew her in. Maybe it was the way he had immediately put Oliver's safety before his own. Maybe it was the quiet strength she saw in his eyes. Or maybe it was the understanding that passed between them as two single parents trying to do their best for their children. Elena, Jake said suddenly, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you scared? About the threats, I mean. What if they try again? Elena's hands stilled on the pasta sauce she was stirring. Terrified, she admitted. I've hired a security company, but I can't have bodyguards follow Oliver everywhere. He's just a little boy. He deserves to have a normal childhood. What about taking some time off? Maybe leaving town until this blows over? I can't. If I run, they win. My company employs thousands of people. I won't let some criminals destroy what I've built. Jake admired her strength, but he could see the fear in her eyes. What can I do to help? Elena turned to face him, surprised. You've already done more than enough. Oliver's going to be scared for a while. And you're going to be worried every time he's out of your sight. I know what that's like. You do. Jake nodded. When Danny was 7, he got lost at the mall. Only for about 20 minutes, but it was the longest 20 minutes of my life. For months afterward, I barely let him out of my sight. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. How did you get through it? Time. And realizing that I couldn't protect him from everything, but I could teach him how to be smart and safe. They were interrupted by the sound of laughter from upstairs. Both boys came running down, Danny's face brighter than Jake had seen it in months. Dad, Oliver has the coolest games. And he said maybe I could come back tomorrow and we could play again. Jake looked at Elena, who smiled and nodded. Of course. You're both welcome here anytime. Over dinner, Jake watched as Elena interacted with both boys. She asked Danny about school, his interests, his favorite subjects. She treated him with the same care and attention she gave Oliver. It had been a long time since anyone besides Jake had shown genuine interest in Danny's life. Mrs. Chen, Danny said quietly as they finished dessert. Thank you for inviting us. This is the best dinner I've had in a long time. Elena's heart melted. You're very welcome, Danny. I hope you'll come back soon. After dinner, while the boys played video games, Elena and Jake sat on the back patio with coffee. Danny's a sweet kid, Elena said. He reminds me a lot of Oliver at that age. Quiet, thoughtful. He's had to grow up fast. When you're a single parent, sometimes your kid becomes your partner in surviving life. Elena nodded in understanding. Oliver's the same way. Sometimes I feel guilty about how much responsibility he carries for a 7-year-old. They're resilient, Jake said. Kids adapt better than we think they will. They sat in comfortable silence, both lost in their own thoughts. Elena found herself studying Jake's profile in the dim light from the house. He had kind eyes and gentle hands, despite the calluses from his work. There was something solid and dependable about him that made her feel safe. Jake, she said suddenly, I want to make you an offer. Jake turned to look at her. Okay. I want to hire you as my personal security consultant. Jake nearly choked on his coffee. What? Elena, I fix water fountains and change light bulbs. I'm not qualified for that kind of job. You saved my son's life today. You saw danger when trained security professionals missed it. That tells me you have good instincts. But I don't have any training in security work. I'll pay for you to get training. The best training available. Elena leaned forward in her chair. Jake, I need someone I can trust completely. Someone who will put Oliver's safety above everything else. You've already proven you'll do that. Jake stared at her. Why are you doing this? Because today showed me that all the expensive security systems in the world don't matter if the person watching over my son doesn't truly care about him. You care. Elena, this is too much. I can't accept charity. It's not charity, Elena said firmly. It's a job offer. A well-paying job offer that comes with full benefits and a college fund for Danny. Jake felt his chest tighten. A college fund for Danny was something he had dreamed about but never thought he could afford. You don't even know me. I know enough. I know you're a good father. I know you're brave. I know you put others before yourself. Elena paused. And I know that Oliver feels safe with you, which is more than I can say about anyone else right now. That night, after Jake and Danny had gone home, Elena sat in Oliver's room as she did every night, reading him a bedtime story. But tonight was different. Tonight, Oliver was full of questions about their new friends. Mama, do you think Mr. Martinez will really come back tomorrow? I hope so, sweetheart. Would you like that? Oliver nodded enthusiastically. Danny's really nice. He knows all about baseball and he said maybe his dad could teach us how to play catch. Elena smiled. That sounds fun. Mama? Oliver's voice got quieter. Were you scared today? When the bad men tried to take me? Elena's throat tightened. Very scared, baby. The most scared I've ever been. But Mr. Martinez saved me. Yes, he did. Oliver was quiet for a moment. Do you think he could stay with us? Like all the time? So the bad men can't come back. Elena's heart ached. Oliver had never asked for a father figure before, had never seemed to miss having a man in his life. But something about Jake had clearly made an impression. Would you like that? Elena asked carefully. Yeah. And Danny could stay too. We could be like a family. Elena kissed Oliver's forehead. Let's see what happens, okay? But I promise you, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you safe. The next morning, Elena called Jake before he left for work. Have you thought about my offer? She asked. Jake had barely slept, turning the idea over in his mind all night. Elena, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but... Just think about it, Elena interrupted. Come over after work today. Bring Danny. Let's talk more. That afternoon, Jake found himself back at Elena's house. Danny immediately disappeared upstairs with Oliver, while Elena led Jake to her home office. I've been doing some research, she said, pulling out a folder. There are several excellent security training programs. The best one is a 6-week intensive course. I could arrange for you to start next month. Jake looked at the paper she handed him. The salary she was offering was more than double what he made at the school. Elena, this is incredibly generous, but I don't understand why you're doing this. Elena sat down across from him. Can I be completely honest with you? Jake nodded. Yesterday was a wake-up call for me. I've been so focused on building my business, on proving myself in a male-dominated industry, that I've been fooling myself about how secure Oliver and I really are. Elena's voice trembled slightly. The truth is, I'm scared, Jake. I'm scared every time Oliver leaves my sight. I'm scared every time I drop him off at school or let him play in the yard. Jake saw the vulnerability in her eyes and felt his heart soften. I need someone I can trust completely, Elena continued. Someone who will care about Oliver's safety as much as I do. Someone who understands what it's like to be a single parent who would do anything for their child. Jake was quiet for a long moment. And you think I'm that person? I know you are. You proved it yesterday. Jake looked out the window to where he could see the boys playing in the backyard. Danny was laughing, really laughing for the first time in months. What about Danny? I can't drag him into a dangerous situation. You wouldn't be. The job would mostly involve security planning, threat assessment, coordinating with professionals. The only time you'd be in any danger is if something went wrong, and we'd do everything possible to prevent that. And Danny would be welcome here? When I'm working? Elena smiled. Jake, Danny is welcome here anytime whether you take the job or not. Oliver adores him already. That evening, Jake sat Danny down for a serious conversation. How would you feel about spending more time with Oliver and his mom? Jake asked. Danny's eyes lit up. Really? Like every day? Maybe. Mrs. Chin offered me a new job. It would mean better pay, better benefits. I could even save money for your college. Danny was quiet for a moment, processing this information. Would we have to move? We might. Mrs. Chin has a guest house on her property. We could live there if you wanted. With Oliver right there? That would be so cool. Danny paused. But Dad, what kind of job is it? It's not dangerous, is it? Jake chose his words carefully. It would be my job to help keep Oliver and his mom safe. Sometimes that might involve a little risk, but I would be very careful. Danny nodded solemnly. Like how you saved Oliver yesterday? Something like that. Then I think you should do it, Danny said firmly. Oliver and Mrs. Chen are really nice and they need us to help them. Jake felt a surge of pride in his son's maturity and kindness. Okay then. I'll tell Mrs. Chen yes. The next morning, Jake called in sick to work and went to Elena's office instead. She was in a meeting when he arrived, but her secretary immediately showed him in. Gentlemen, I need to continue this meeting later, Elena said, dismissing the three men in expensive suits who had been sitting around her conference table. When they were alone, Elena looked at Jake expectantly. Have you made a decision? I'll take the job, Jake said. But I have some conditions. Elena nodded. Name them. First, I want everything in writing. Contract, benefits, job description, everything. Of course. Second, if at any point I feel like this job is putting Danny at risk, I'm out. No questions asked. Understood. Third, I want to be involved in all security decisions that affect Oliver. Not just following orders but actually planning and strategizing. Elena smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. I want a partner in this, not just an employee. Jake felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Then I guess we have a deal. Elena stood and extended her hand. Welcome to the team, Jake. As they shook hands, Jake felt something shift between them. This was more than just a business arrangement. This was the beginning of something that could change all their lives. Over the next few weeks, Jake threw himself into learning everything he could about security and threat assessment. Elena arranged for him to shadow her current security team and to attend seminars and training sessions. Meanwhile, the boys had become inseparable. Danny spent every afternoon at Elena's house, and on weekends, Oliver would come to Jake's small apartment. Elena often joined them for these weekend visits, bringing groceries and cooking dinner for all of them. You don't have to do this, Jake said one Saturday evening as Elena cleaned up the dishes in his tiny kitchen. I want to, Elena replied. Besides, Oliver loves spending time here. He says it feels like a real home. Jake looked around his modest apartment with its second-hand furniture and peeling paint. It's not much compared to your house. Elena turned to face him. Jake, your home is filled with love and laughter. That's worth more than any expensive furniture. Their eyes met across the small kitchen, and Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Over the past month, he had found himself looking forward to seeing Elena almost as much as he enjoyed watching the boys play together. She was brilliant and successful, but she was also kind and down-to-earth. She treated Danny like her own son and never made Jake feel inferior because of their different backgrounds. Elena, Jake said softly, taking a step closer to her. Yes. Before Jake could lose his nerve, he leaned down and kissed her gently. Elena's eyes fluttered closed as she kissed him back, her hands coming up to rest on his chest. When they broke apart, both were breathing a little unsteadily. I've been wanting to do that for weeks, Jake admitted. Elena smiled up at him. I was wondering if you ever would. They were interrupted by the sound of running feet as the boys came racing into the kitchen. Dad, can Oliver spend the night tonight? Danny asked breathlessly. Jake looked at Elena, who shrugged. It's fine with me if it's fine with you. Please, Dad? We want to build a fort in the living room. Okay, Jake laughed. But you both have to promise to actually sleep at some point tonight. As the boys cheered and ran off to start their fort, Elena moved closer to Jake again. So, she said quietly, what happens now? Jake reached up to cup her face in his hands. Now we see where this goes. If you want to, that is. I want to, Elena whispered. I've never wanted anything more. 3 months later, Jake moved into Elena's guest house with Danny. It was a beautiful small cottage on the back of Elena's property, with 2 bedrooms and a full kitchen. Danny was thrilled to be so close to Oliver, and Jake appreciated having his own space while still being nearby to protect Elena and Oliver. The security threats against Elena had decreased after the arrest of the kidnappers, but Jake's job had evolved into something much more comprehensive. He now managed all of Elena's security arrangements, both at home and at work. He had completed his training and proven to be a natural at threat assessment and security planning. More importantly, he had become an integral part of Elena and Oliver's daily life. He picked Oliver up from school, helped with homework, and coached both boys' little league team. Elena included him in family decisions and relied on his judgment about everything from vacation destinations to Oliver's education. One evening, as they sat on Elena's back patio watching the boys play catch in the yard, Elena reached over and took Jake's hand. I have something to tell you, she said. Jake felt his stomach tighten. Okay. The board of directors wants to promote you to head of corporate security. It would mean a significant raise and your own office at the company headquarters. Jake stared at her. Are you serious? Elena nodded, smiling at his shocked expression. You've impressed everyone with your work, Jake. They think you have a real talent for this. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Elena laughed. You've earned this. Jake pulled Elena closer to him on the porch swing. A year ago I was fixing broken sinks and changing light bulbs. Now I'm being offered a corporate executive position. It doesn't seem real. It's real because you made it real. You saw an opportunity and you worked harder than anyone I've ever known to deserve it. Jake kissed the top of Elena's head. Thank you. For believing in me, for giving me this chance. Thank you for saving my son's life. For becoming part of our family. They sat in comfortable silence, watching their boys play together as the sun set behind them. Elena, Jake said suddenly. I love you. Elena's heart soared. She had been hoping to hear those words for months, but had been afraid to say them first. I love you too, Jake. So much. And I love Oliver like he's my own son. Tears filled Elena's eyes. And I love Danny the same way. They kissed as the porch light came on automatically, casting a warm glow around them. Dad. Elena. Oliver came running up to the porch, Danny close behind him. Look what we caught. The boys held up a small frog they had found in the garden, both of them grinning with excitement. That's a beautiful frog, Elena said seriously. But I think he might miss his family if we keep him. Can we at least show him to the other frogs in the pond? Oliver asked. Of course, Jake said. But then we let him go home to his family. As they all walked toward the small pond at the edge of Elena's property, Jake reflected on how much their lives had changed. A split-second decision to protect a child had led to a new career, a new home, and a new family. Danny and Oliver released the frog into the pond and watched as it swam away to join several other frogs sitting on lily pads. Look, Oliver whispered, he found his family. Elena squeezed Jake's hand as they watched the boys crouch by the water's edge, pointing excitedly at the frogs. We all found our family, Elena said softly. 6 months later, Jake was getting dressed in his new office when Elena knocked on his door. Come in, he called. Elena entered with a serious expression on her face. We need to talk. Jake's heart sank. Had something happened? Was there a new threat? What's wrong? Elena closed the door behind her and locked it, then turned to face him with a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. I have a proposition for you, she said. Jake relaxed slightly. What kind of proposition? Elena walked over to him and straightened his tie, her fingers lingering on his chest. Marry me, Jake Martinez. Jake's mouth fell open. What? Elena laughed at his shocked expression. I said marry me. I love you, I love Danny, and I want us to be a real family. Elena, are you serious? Completely serious. I've been thinking about this for months. Elena took his hands in hers. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to make Danny legally my stepson. I want Oliver to have you as his father in every way that matters. Jake stared into her eyes, seeing nothing but love and sincerity. Are you sure? I mean, I'm just a security guard who got lucky. You're the man I love, Elena said firmly. You're the father my son needed. You're my partner in every way that matters. Jake pulled Elena into his arms and spun her around, both of them laughing. Yes, he said as he set her down. Yes, I'll marry you. Elena threw her arms around his neck. Really? Really? I can't imagine my life without you and Oliver. They kissed deeply, pouring all their love and hopes for the future into that moment. Should we tell the boys? Elena asked when they broke apart. Let's tell them together tonight, Jake said. As a family. That evening, Jake and Elena sat Danny and Oliver down in the living room of the main house. We have something important to tell you both, Elena began. The boys looked nervous, probably remembering other times when serious family meetings had meant bad news. Don't worry, Jake said quickly. This is good news. Very good news. Elena and I have decided to get married, Jake announced. Both boys were quiet for a moment, processing this information. Then Oliver jumped up from the couch. Really? You're going to be my dad for real? Jake's eyes filled with tears. If you want me to be. Yes. Oliver threw himself into Jake's arms. I always wanted a dad like you. Danny looked at Elena hopefully. And you'll be my mom? Elena knelt down in front of Danny, tears streaming down her face. Only if you want me to be, sweetheart. Danny nodded vigorously and hugged Elena tightly. I've missed having a mom so much. As they all hugged together on the couch, Jake marveled at how perfect this moment felt. A year and a half ago, he had been a struggling single father with no prospects and no hope for a better future. Now he was surrounded by the three people he loved most in the world, planning a wedding and a lifetime together. When is the wedding? Oliver asked excitedly. When would you like it to be? Elena asked. Tomorrow, both boys said at the same time, making the adults laugh. How about we give ourselves a few months to plan something special? Jake suggested. Can we have cake? Danny asked. Lots of cake, Elena promised. And can we invite Mrs. Rodriguez? Danny added, thinking of their elderly neighbor who had been like a grandmother to him. Of course, Jake said. She's family too. 3 months later, they were married in Elena's backyard, surrounded by friends and family. Danny served as Jake's best man, while Oliver walked Elena down the aisle. Elena looked radiant in a simple white dress, and Jake had never felt more handsome than he did in his first tuxedo. As they exchanged vows, both Danny and Oliver stood beside them, symbolizing that this marriage was not just between Jake and Elena, but a joining of their entire family. I promise to love and protect you and Oliver for the rest of my life, Jake said, his voice thick with emotion. I promise to love and cherish you and Danny always, Elena replied, tears of joy streaming down her face. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, both boys cheered loudly, and Elena and Jake sealed their union with a kiss that promised a lifetime of love and happiness. As they danced their first dance as a married couple, Jake whispered in Elena's ear, "Thank you." For what? For keeping your promise. For never leaving us. Elena pulled back to look into his eyes. I told you that first night, I'm never going anywhere. You're stuck with me forever. Jake spun Elena around as their sons danced nearby, laughing and celebrating with their friends. The bullet that had started their story was long forgotten, replaced by wedding rings and promises of forever. Later that night, after the guests had gone home and the boys had fallen asleep exhausted from dancing and eating too much cake, Jake and Elena sat on their back porch swing, still in their wedding clothes. So, Mrs. Martinez, Jake said, testing out Elena's new name. I love the sound of that, Elena sighed contentedly. No regrets. Elena turned to face her new husband. The only regret I have is that it took a kidnapping attempt for us to meet. I wish we could have found each other sooner. Jake kissed her softly. Everything happened exactly when it was supposed to. If we had met earlier, maybe I wouldn't have been in a position to save Oliver. Maybe you wouldn't have been ready to take a chance on a maintenance worker. Former maintenance worker, Elena corrected. Current head of corporate security and love of my life. Jake smiled and pulled Elena closer. I love you, Mrs. Martinez. I love you too, Mr. Martinez. Forever and always. As they sat together under the stars, surrounded by the life they had built together, Jake reflected on the strange turns that fate could take. One moment of courage, one decision to put a child's safety before his own welfare, had led to everything he had ever dreamed of and more. Danny and Oliver were now officially brothers, with all the legal documents to prove it. They had a beautiful home, financial security, and most importantly, they had love. The kind of deep, unshakable love that comes from choosing to be a family every single day. The promise Elena had made that first day, that she would never leave them, had been kept in the most beautiful way possible. She had made them legally, officially, permanently her family. And Jake's promise to always protect Oliver had evolved into something much larger. A promise to protect and cherish this entire family they had created together for all the days of his life. As they headed inside to begin their first night as a married couple, Jake took one last look at the yard where their boys had played together for the first time, where they had shared their first kiss, where they had just celebrated their wedding. This was home. This was family. This was the life that had grown from a single moment of bravery and bloomed into something more beautiful than either of them had ever dared to imagine. The promise that changed everything had been kept, and it would be kept every day for the rest of their lives together.